Visit Leather is here in Milan. I'm Katie Kutzgill, talking with Tanner Leatherstein. Today, we're talking about the importance of social media and why leather professionals and corporations, as artisans, and as aspiring content creators can use this for their own advantage. Tanner Leatherstein is the chief craftsman at Pagai. He has 27 years experience across 5 countries in different leather aspects. He has over 2.2 million followers and is the creator of the Leathertainment podcast. Thanks, Tanner. It's great that you're here with us.
Thank you for having me.
So I have a few questions about, how we can really get the information about social media out to the leather industry. I think there's not a lot of leather professionals in the world anyway, and then there's even fewer of us that actually are on social media. And so I wanted to first start off with, how did you even know that you wanted to work with leather on social media? And how did that impact the greater industry as well?
It was almost like adding the dots, looking back my entire career. Whoever knew my involvement with leather, whenever they bought something leather, they came to me. Can you look at it? Is it real? Is it fake? Did I pay too much? Is it good? And probably like 3-4 years ago, it was almost like a moment of inspiration. Like, why did I get this question repetitively all my life? Because people like leather, but they don't feel comfortable making that assessment themselves, and they're always a little bit shaky and suspicious when they're buying leather, feeling maybe I'm going to get cheated. So, and understanding social media is a great way to reach millions. Even though I didn't know anything about social media, I'm like, gonna make videos with different concepts, try to get my message across using this platform. It didn't happen overnight, but about a year of testing different concepts, a video went viral one day, and people start actually giving me the ideas after that. They're like, can you do this? Can you do that? As a result of that video, and I kept following, and my accounts grow exponentially in the past 2 years. And how did it help greater leather industry? I think I was able to address some of the misconceptions that are so common today, promoted by plastic and oil lobby, as far as I understand, like vegan leather. A lot of lies about leather being unsustainable, animals being killed for their skins. So whenever it fits into the narrative of my review videos or informative videos, I put those pieces of information, and so many people in the comments, oh, I didn't know vegan leather was plastic, or I didn't know leather was a byproduct of the meat industry. So I think once they get this fact, they make different decisions. At least they can make better decisions after clarifying all this stuff. And it's helpful for the overall industry, in my perspective.
It's interesting because my undergraduate degree is in environmental policy. And so I sometimes feel like my master's degree in leather technology is at odds with my undergraduate degree in environmental policy, because society views leather as this non-environmentally friendly product when it really is. And when I started doing this research over 13 years ago now, I found out that we all learned about carbon footprint from British Petroleum. And it became this marketing effort. I mean, the carbon footprint was designed as a function of this ecological footprint that was a full comprehensive study. And it's almost like British Petroleum picked out carbon footprint for their advantage. I mean, if we look at it simply, it's amazing that the carbon footprint measures what's in the air. It's not a measurement of what's below ground. Well, what's below ground? Oil. And so the metric was very much in their advantage because it didn't cover many of the other environmental degradation that was happening below ground. And so I think some of this story, people everyone's trying to live their life. Like, if you're not interested in environmental, nerd like me, you may not even look into these things. And I think it's so great to have someone like you who's bringing leather to the people so that we can start to share these little bits of information. And if we get everyone in the leather industry talking about it, then it's going to grow and have exponential power of telling truth to the masses.
Absolutely. Well, it only makes sense for them to do this strategically. They're so big, they're organized and united, and they're thinking ahead, right? They're creating these PR campaigns, metrics to clear and go ahead of the concerns
Yeah.
and put the blame somewhere else. It's like a attraction game or deception game. But in the leather industry, we don't have that kind of unification or budget.
No.
Now, only we're doing this in a like passion base,
Yeah.
but social media helps us now. We don't have to have those budgets and stuff like that. The power we have is like we're more genuine and we're coming from the real passion instead of just calculated strategical campaigns. And people really appreciate that in social media. They can detect that genuine
Yeah.
energy, and they understand what is true, what is just fluff, and
Yeah.
they make a good judgment after that.
Yeah. And I think for me, we know it's true because if we looked at generations prior, like my most prized possessions are a lot of leather pieces I got from my grandmother. And, they're 60, 70 years old and they still look beautiful and I cherish them. And it's like, how could a product that exists over that many generations? And I mean, we just were in Pompeii together, which was fantastic to see a tannery preserved after 2,000 years. And we see really tanning hasn't changed that much. We've made it more innovative. We've done a lot of environmental improvements, but the process is
The
still
same.
the same.
Yeah.
It has the same bones. And I think we've gotten so far away in this culture and community globally of mass produced things, fast fashion, overconsumption that leather can really champion and combat a lot of those things.
Absolutely. I couldn't say it better. And 2000 years ago, they had a technology to have a manufacturing system,
Yeah.
which tells us like how long did it take to get there for them. So, this craft is a lot older than 2000 years,
Yeah.
and which is a great thing to just
That's true.
see.
That's an incredible point. I'm glad you brought that up. So I want to talk quickly about this bag that's sitting here because I bought this, gosh, over a year ago. This is your bag. And what is the name of the bag?
It's Helen, the
Helen.
design name, and it's made with a shrunken grain sheepskin on the outside, which is one of my favorite leathers. I grew up making sheepskins in our family tannery, and this one is just so special to me. I found it from one of the Turkish tanneries, and it's a masterpiece. I love
Yeah.
using it. Um, it's just not very common in fashion world because it's so chaotic. It's
Yeah.
not an embossed
Yes.
pattern. It's really hard to use. You gotta, very thoughtfully cut it and put it together. But I just love working with these types of leather over standardized ones. So
Yes.
glad you like it.
No, I love the bag. I bought it first when I needed to come to the leather fairs last year. And I was like, I need this bag that holds everything just right, but looks professional. And when I was in leather school, my favorite leather that I made was a shrunken grain. I thought it was fascinating how you could use chemistry to create that grain. And when you put that on the website that it was a shrunken grain, I was like, I'm buying this bag from this guy. Because I was like, not many people put that on there.
Yes.
And I've gotten so many compliments. It's just such a wonderful bag. And it's really an honor to sit here with you and like be with the creator and your team. So that's really special
It's
for
my
me.
pleasure. Thanks for buying it, using it. I'm glad to hear it's holding pretty well. So
Oh,
it's great.
fantastic.
So,
It's great. So I want to move to the next question and, kind of venture into the Leathertainment podcast. So what is the importance of your Leathertainment podcast and where do you see the future of that going?
right now, I started trying to make one episode every week, and the concept was let's find a craftsman or professional from the industry, different types of the industry. Sometimes we talk to the professors in the leather chemistry in
Mhm.
schools. Sometimes we talk to individual craftsmen, and the goal was to just talk their passion, their leather journey, and what they're trying to do, and tell the truth about leather again to the
Yeah.
end user or whoever is passionate in the industry. um, it definitely got a good response, but I was busy managing the brand and doing other content on social media. It's not as consistent at this point, but the leathertainment idea, I think, is the most important concept I explored in this 2 year, 3 years old social media journey, which was packaging the leather information that I like to share with people into an entertaining and a unique visual story. So, which is not easy always. Whenever I start talking about the things I care about leather, it's boring. Nobody watches it. I tried it so many times, and but it got really great attention when I bought a $3,000 Louis Vuitton bag and
Yep.
cut it. It's like, wait a minute, they stop and they watch it.
Oh, yeah.
In that 2 3 minute video, I can now put the leather information that I wanted to share, and they get the information. Then in the comments, I see that, oh, I didn't know that, and now it's a different
Hmm.
perspective for me, and which is super rewarding, and it makes this whole social media process fun and rewarding for me.
It's really incredible because I think it gets to the heart of what people are buying every single day, and then their culture and their how they look at their life, and then applying leather to it. And I think that's really how we get the word out. And you're a great example of that. It's to say, let's talk to people about things that matter in their daily life and then bring leather into that conversation. Because we're also nerds about leather, but the rest of the world isn't.
No.
And that's okay, right?
Yeah.
But it's cool that we can integrate it in as a medium to talk about culture or to talk about fashion, all food, all of those things are related to cars. From my background, all of that
Yeah.
is related to leather.
So,
So the thing that I kind of want to dive into is the brands. You know, we talked about you ripping up the Louis Vuitton, and what do you think there's some obstacles about brands using real leather, and what are some feelings you've experienced with that?
so the challenges for brands to use real leather varies depending on their size. Bigger brands like Louis Vuitton, they need standard looking products. They have thousands of stores all around the world, and the product needs to look the same, feel the same. But leather is a natural fabric. It's not standard. You can standardize it by applying some finishes and plating, but then the problem is you lose the natural appeal of leather that we get by touching, looking, and smelling it.
Yeah.
So I criticize them a lot when I'm doing reviews, like, okay, this is too much finish,
Hmm.
they lost the leather here. But some brands do it very artistic way.
Yeah.
They finish it perfectly without losing that feel. So I'm like, this is perfect. Like, if you're going to spend so much money, this should be the one, kind of thing. So their challenge is finding something standard enough for their global business, but still not lost the charm of the
Yeah.
leather in the natural sense. But smaller brands, it's a different challenge, way different. They can find leathers that they like, but tanneries historically worked with these large brands, and the business model is always in large volumes.
Yeah.
So a small craftsman or small brand go to tanneries, either they don't get the attention, or they can't even buy the small scale of orders they want
Yeah.
because of that MOQs in the industry right now. So it's a different battle and different side of the range in the industry. But I'm glad to see that a lot of tanneries is recognizing this, like, flood of new artisans and brands coming into the leather space,
Yeah.
and they're changing their business models to cater this small brands with stock service things or lower minimum order quantities.
Yeah.
I think there is a good transition towards this
Yeah.
new trend in the market.
And I really agree with that. I think so many people that talk to us from the consumer aspect on is it leather, you know, we've seen comments like, why is leather so expensive? Why is a real leather good so expensive? And there's a lot to say for the processing and the natural value and the durability of the product because it's going to outlast any of the fake ones. But I think there's also some problems in our industry about, you know, like you said, the minimum order quantities and
Yeah.
things like that that drive prices that we've got to work on as an industry so that leather has reach across multiple spectrums of cost, of function, of application. And I think it's on, you know, we won't solve it here today, but I think that it's a good thing to just discuss and bring up.
Absolutely. And I think the pricing perception why leather is so expensive is kind of not accurate. like
Really?
skewed towards the most expensive, luxury bags.
Yeah.
They're making an anchoring. Good leather bag is gonna cost you $3,000, which is not true. The leather is not cheap, but never that expensive.
Yeah.
So people usually have this maybe assumption when they see a luxury label and $3,000 price tag goes up. It's leather. Probably that's why it's expensive. But the truth is, you are paying a lot for the brand there, which is an entire different ball game. They spend a lot of money to create that luxury image of the logo.
Yeah.
It's not coming from the leather itself. Now we're lucky to see that so many new brands coming in with online and lean business models. They don't have any of those costs going into the price tag. You can totally get a amazing top quality leather bag at $500-600 price points, and those
Yeah.
brands are growing exponentially today.
Yeah. I think it's a great point, and it's why people should follow you at Tanner Leatherstein so that they know what to buy and what's good value.
That's one
So,
of the missions. I get a lot of those questions. Okay, then which brand should we buy?
yeah,
Like, what's the new entrance in the market? And there's a lot of it. We're exploring one by one.
I love that. So, I want to dive into the last question, which is what tips would you give tanneries that are interested in growing a social media account? I think we're going to have a lot of people here in the leather community that are trying to get interested and active in on social media. What advice would you give them?
So tannery industry is kind of like old fashioned. I'm coming from it, and I know this is like the older generation, like my dad, would ignore social media. It's like, that's not leather. Like
Yeah.
we don't do that. We do the tanning. And I was talking to a friend today, which 25 years ago our tanneries were next to each other in Turkey, and now his son is running the brand. And I was talking to son and father. The father took off after 5 minutes, like, I don't even understand what you guys talking about. He went to do his own thing. I think we should just go across this mindset first, give the credibility and I think the attention the social media deserves to get our message across, because we really need to get our message across as a leather industry, as
Yeah.
tanneries. Otherwise, the opposition is too strong, spreading false, fake news about leather, and people are thinking it's the truth. And social media is free to use for all of us. As long as you're creative and you don't ignore it, you can really make an impact getting your message for your own business and for
Yeah.
the industry overall. It's not going to be easy. It's going to take a lot of,
Yeah.
testing and tweaking. But if you listen to your hunches and see what you want to talk about, and you're so passionate telling the story
Hmm.
of leather, which angle, just put it in an entertaining story and try see if you can get reaction from
Yeah.
social media.
It's great that you comment on that because I think these tanneries and much in the leather industry, my perspective is there's some competition still. And I think social media is a way we can say, yeah, we got to keep our recipes proprietary, but social media, we can all work together. There's space for all of us. I think this last week that we've had with all of the influencers, Leather Naturally, working with Is It Leather, we were able to see that a collective effort lifts us all up, and it's not this competitive space. And so I'm really excited to see this, and we're thankful that you are here on this trip. I did want to touch on one last thing because it made me think that there may be some aspiring content creators that are also watching this. What advice would you give them that would be for growing their social media? Maybe a craftsman or someone who's really passionate about their product or their craft, and how they can get that online.
So the key is in the question there, like they're passionate about something, and we're all different, passionate about something different. Like it's a nuance, but um, whatever that you feel so strongly about, you have to play on that.
Yeah.
Because today, I think the social media user, especially Gen Z, they're so fed up with advertisings and corporation. Whenever they see something that feels like advertising and so polished, they're trying to sell something, just move on. They don't want to watch any of that stuff because they have the freedom now. We didn't have that freedom with TV 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Whoever had the money tell whatever they wanted to tell to us, and we bought it. So now they want to see people, real people, the amateur raw setup, but with a passion to share something, whatever it is. It could be an information, it could be a visual, a story, or a process, just trying to
Yeah.
teach you something or let you know about something that they care deeply about, and they understand and connect to that passion very quickly. So be yourself,
Yeah.
listen to your passion, and don't be afraid of just having the camera and say it like you would say it to a friend, and just put it out there.
Yeah.
And I think a magical reaction will happen once you hit the right concept format, and it will help everybody.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for being here with us today. And on this whole week here in Italy, it's been a pleasure getting to know you and to welcome you into the Is It Leather group here in Milan. So thank you so much.
It was my pleasure. It was the best Linea Pelle experience for sure.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
And thank you all so much for joining us. Make sure to follow Tanner Leatherstein on Instagram and all social media accounts, as well as isitleather.com. Thanks.